So hello everybody and welcome along for the final time this season for the finale of the ISR AIC Season 2 Championship. As you will remember from the end of Hockenheim, anyone in the top 5 of the Drivers' Championship can win today. We'll go through that. My good friend joining me in the commentary box, Zach Swider, is here again. Hello, Zach. If you just want to get a quick hello in.
Hello, and welcome everybody to Hockenheim. It is a beautiful racing circuit here in Germany, but yes, indeed, Toby, it is going to be one heck of a showing here. So we've, like I said, we've got 5 drivers that are going to be having a chance to win the Season 2 of ISR AIC DTM Championship, and those 5 are, of course, Josh Martin, Colin Spencer, Douglas Anderson, Nickel Foggy, and Rhinus Bengalis, who is representing, of course, the ISR team himself. So, yeah, very interesting scenarios coming into this race. Josh Martin being our leading points leader, actually. And, of course, he won, I believe it was the 2 rounds, I think he's won. And, of course, he won, I think, last time out at Autopolis. And he's been really unstoppable. And so that's why he's going into the points with the lead. And if he wins this race outright, Toby, he will actually win the championship regardless of where everyone else finishes. If he manages to come in second, Spencer, who is his closest rival to him, will have to be 3rd or lower, and if he finishes 3rd, Spencer needs to be second or lower. Now, coming into this though, there's going to be wins that need to be involved here for everyone else here. Colin Spencer has to win and outscore Martin by 6 points. So Josh Martin can't come away with any more than 6 points if Colin Spencer manages to win this race. If he does finish second, Josh Martin needs to be 4th or lower. If he finishes 3rd, Martin needs to be 6th or lower. So very interesting stuff between Josh Martin and Colin Spencer. Douglas Anderson, if he wins, of course, Martin will need to be no lower than 3rd. If he finishes 2nd, Martin needs to be 6th or lower. If he finishes 3rd, Martin needs to be 8th or lower. Nico Foggy needs to win, of course, and Josh Martin needs to be no lower than 6th, and if he finishes 2nd, Martin needs to be 10th or lower. If he finishes 3rd, unfortunately, there was no hope. Regardless, Josh Martin will be your winner, or if any other indication of whether or not Spencer or Josh Martin finish. Now, Rhinus Bengalis, I think, has the toughest job of all of these guys, Toby. He has to, of course, win. The top 4 need to finish out of the points, basically. So Rhinus Bengalis, Toby, needs to have some of that driver skill and a bit of ladies' luck on his side, Toby. It's going to be very difficult for Rhinus Bengalis to try to win this championship, but as they say, anything can happen, and 9 times out of 10, it normally does.
Yeah, we've seen crazier results this season, so those are your title scenarios for the Drivers' Championship, and like you say, Rhinus Bengalis going to need a little bit of lady luck to help him out today. So just talking about the Teams Championships really quick before we get into qualifying, we will discuss the teams coming into this are a lot simpler. Basically for this one, it's literally going to be whichever team has the best performance, because they're a lot slower. But not a lot slower, but a lot closer together in terms of points. So Lucky Strike JSR are coming into this in the lead with 99 points. They are 5 points clear of both Northern Lights Racing and Pro Race UK. They're both tied on 94 points going into this round. So for them two, whoever finishes ahead of the other is going to beat the other in that case. Autobacks have 72 points, and both, funnily enough, you will expect it, but both ISR and Force Fizzy can still win the championship today if I believe their scenarios are if they get a 1-2, and Lucky Strike, Northern Lights and Pro Race finish outside the points. But it's a tall order, but crazier things have happened. So we'll hand back to Zach, who's going to take you through the polls we ran earlier in the week regarding the Drivers' Championship.
So if you guys, of course, follow the ISR on Twitter, and if you haven't, please, guys, go and follow us on Twitter. We have a lot of amazing news and, of course, updates throughout the ISR AIC organization here regarding team swaps and all that. Earlier to the week, like Kobe said, we ran through some polls here, and, of course, they would be who were people's favorites to win both the Drivers' Championship and who would be the favorites for the Team Constructor Championship. And 53% say that Josh Martin will be the Drivers' Championship. Now, of course, a lot of people agree with his points and performance this season. He's won 2 races so far, and he's been up top a lot of the races, dude. He's had the best consistency, I think, out of everyone here, so he's going to be the fan favorite. 35% of people say that Colin Spencer will win, and 12% say Douglas Anderson will win. So, it seems to favor Josh Martin, which of course a lot of people agree with, and he's shown the skill, so that is very possible that will happen. Now, going into the Constructor and Team Championship, 58% of people agree that Northern Lights will win the Constructor Championship. And of course, they've had, it's mostly been, I'm not going to take away from his teammate, of course, but it's mostly been Josh Martin carrying the flag for that. But his teammate has had some very good performances as well. The team has been doing a phenomenal job. 33% say Lucky Strike will be the Constructor Championship. Now, I will say this, though, Colin Spencer will need a bit of some help from Josh Wood to be able to get that Constructor Championship. Josh has been struggling this season. He's only had a few good finishes, I say maybe 2 or 3, but other than that, he's struggled for the rest of the season. And there are talks, and of course, we may have to get into that either during the race or maybe after, depending on the offseason. But there are talks of indicating that Joshua Wood may not be with JSR next year, and especially if they don't come out winning the Constructor Championship. And 8% say Pro Race UK will win the championship. And there was a funny thing, Toby, on Twitter. There was a -1% saying Autobox would win the Constructor Championship, and that was a bit of a funny thing to see. But of course, they still have a chance regardless, and so does ISR and Force Fizzy. But the odds are kind of difficult to say the least. But right now, the main 3 that we're going to be focusing on to really kind of come in with the Team Constructor Championship are, of course, Northern Lights, JSR, and Pro Race UK.
Yep, so a wonderful thing is speculation, and we can get into that more and more once this race finishes, and we can just start to guess how the grid will line up for next time out. Just a little bit of a correction there, that it is, of course, Craig Evans and Nickel Foggy in the Northern Lights team. They are very similar, the sister teams, but it's very easy to get them confused. But just to clear up for everyone out there, Craig Evans and Nickel Foggy in the Northern Lights racing team, who of course had that very good double podium at Brands Hatch. Despite Northern Lights, I just want to quickly touch upon, Zach, are the favourite to win the teams championship, as you can see from the polls. But they finished dead last in Season 1. They were the bottom team completely. So really great effort for Northern Lights to come back up. And Pro Race UK, of course, is piloted by championship leader Josh Martin and his teammate Ross McFarlane. We have apparently got to keep our eye on them, because apparently there's some big news concerning them for the next season. But without further ado, it's time to take a look at the first point of attack in our race weekend, and that is qualifying. So we will go and head there and see how your grid looks. So as we take a look at the qualifying for the final race of this season, it is Zach Swader taking a surprise pole position here at the finale of the Hockenheim ring, despite his poor performances in previous rounds leading up to here. Seems to have got his mojo back. Maybe could have been in the championship if he found that a little bit earlier. Charles McBee, another man returning to form GTFG, a second front row start in a row for the American after his great start in Autopolis. Nickel Foggy, the first of our championship contenders, lines up in P3. Remember, he needs to be second or higher to have a chance of winning the championship, so he needs to get past Charles McBee as soon as possible. Gareth Lennon, bouncing back to 4th place on form, is ahead of Valerio Campagnari, another man who's given us a lovely performance here at Hockenheim despite his team's performance this season. Colin McAllister line up 6th, ahead of our next championship contender Callum Spencer in P7, and that 8th place will see the other championship contender of Rhinus Melngalis, who will need to make some places.
Nub Martinson, our no longer defending champion, will be 9th place. 10th is Ross McFarlane, and the big story right now, I think, is Josh Martin. He's got a long way to go to try to have any chance of trying to do anything with the points. He starts 11th, so a very difficult qualifying result for our points leader of Josh Martin. His compatriot Craig Evans will start 12th. Christopher Pedersen, the other NRL driver, will be 13th. Our last championship contender, Douglas Anderson, will start 14th. So once again, him and Josh Martin need to get their groove going if they want to have a shot at trying to get this championship. Danny Diaz of EQU will be 15th, and Evan Imre 16th.
Supposed outbound man ART driver Kevin Jacobs lines up in P17. He's ahead of Joshua Wood, again struggling to find form in that Mercedes since I think he's been struggling since Curitiba. He's ahead of Jonathan Carrera, another driver who's seen a lack of form in the back end of the season. He's ahead of Chester Jackson, who is ahead of Toby Bump Team ISR. Bringing up the rear of the grid is Stephen Paul taking a qualifying ban as there was a glitch in the system. He was supposed to take the qualifying ban in Autopolis and did not, so he has been chosen to serve it here for the finale today. But like you say, Zach, a very interesting qualifying grid and a lot of work to do up and down the field. I think we're gearing up for a great finale.
It is going to be a fantastic race, like you said, Toby. But yes, Josh Martin and Douglas Anderson are the last two of our points contenders, and they're really going to need to have some work done and probably get maybe a few safety cars, help them out a little bit here. But remember, guys, safety car is on. We saw that for the first time back in Autopolis twice, actually. So yes, the safety car is in play if anything happens as far as crashes go. But right now, I think Nickel Foggy has got the best side of the coin flip on this one, Toby.
Definitely, but he has two very quick Americans that he needs to pass off the front row sooner rather than later if he wants a stress-free day. It's time for the final race of this season. It's been a long one, but it almost feels like we were just getting started, Zach, and we're already ending. But let's go find out how the finale happens here in Germany at the Hockenheim Ring. Such a lovely intro, and one we're going to miss. It's the final time you will hear that lovely song and intro. Here we are at the Hockenheim Ring for the finale of the ISR AIC Season 2 Championship. A fitting finale track, this one, in Germany. We're gearing up. You can see it's Nickel Foggy, the man who has the advantage after qualifying, but fan favourite Josh Martin has a lot of work to do, as do the rest of his drivers. We can see the view to turn one from Nickel Foggy. Just then, not Nickel Foggy. He's lining up on the second row of the grid, but he's got two very quick Americans. Two Americans that have found their form late in the season. Maybe that will play a part going into the new season. We'll have to see, but you can hear the engines are now turned on as we get ready to go racing. Here in Hockenheim, lights out and away we go. Who got the best start out of the top three? Actually, Nickel Foggy got a decent start. It's Charles McBee actually getting a really good start, looking to challenge up into turn one. You see the NORL car doing battle and actually splitting the two Iron Brew cars. Nickel Foggy looking to go on the offensive immediately. Okay, great start by Callum Spencer, looking to try get past the Iron Brew car of Colin McAllister immediately. That's a position gained. Josh Martin looking to make some positions up on this early lap as well. Oh, a little bit of contact in the background. We've got an Iron Brew car going round in the background. I think that might be Gareth Lennon just getting tagged. No, it's Colin McAllister getting tagged in the background. Just a little bit of a racing incident. As you can probably imagine, about 7 cars doesn't go into one as we come into the hairpin for the first of 17 times. Here we go then. Anybody looking to make a move? Actually, it looks like that car there. Look at that. Almost 4 abreast coming into the hairpin. That's Stephen Paul, Kevin Jacobs and Josh Wood all looking to get a little bit engaged. Look at Stephen Paul trying to make a quadruple move. Incredible stuff. Evan Imre going side by side. I think that is with Chris Petterson coming through, and Evan Imre gets the job done. The Scot up trying to do his best for Force Fizzy today, who still have the chance, but have all the odds stacked against them. And we're underway, Zach, for the finale of ISR AIC Season 2.
We are, and I can tell you one thing, though. That was a pretty hectic entry for Stephen Paul going into the hairpin. He tried to treat it like going up against F1 video game AI as he tried to make it 4 moves in one. As take a look at the Iron Brew car, that is, I believe that is still Colin McAllister trying to make up positions off that spin. As he tries to go around and Nuppar and Tinson on the outside, he's going to cut back, try to get to the inside, but I think Nuppar and Tinson actually gave him the respect to try to get room, as we see Jonathan Carrero trying to make some moves. And here comes Chester Jackson at the EQU. What has happened to Nut Martinson? I think he's got damage or something. He's fallen all the way back into last place. He's getting chewed up by Toby Byrne now for the ISR. And so obviously something's wrong with Nut Martinson here. Not the way you want to end off your season, though, Toby, as Nut Martinson seems to be falling back. But going through the field right now, we're looking at the NRL car. I believe this is Christopher Pettersson. NRL could be probably one of the most mid teams right now, but just this time last year, Toby, NRL and Christopher Pettersson were fighting for that championship.
How much difference a year can make. I just want to touch upon the progress of Callum Spencer. He's up to P5, so he's made 2 positions on the start. Nickel Foggy looked like he might be able to go for a move on Charles McBee here. That will put him into championship winning position if he can pull it off. Looks at the inside. Door gets slammed in his face by Charles McBee. Says, hey mate, you might be fighting for a championship, but I'm fighting for another podium, and if you want it, you've got to earn it. The old school guy. Oh, look at that. Chester Jackson going off the track, doing battle with Jonathan Guerrero. Carrera. These guys right on the limit of all the grip available to on the circuit. The two Americans go side by side. Jonathan Carrera will win that defense burn. It's now past Nut Martinson. He's looking to now get past Chester Jackson as well. He'll have the inside for the next corner. Look at Nut Martinson getting the double slipstream, trying to make this a free abreast situation. That's not a corner where you want to do that. Everyone tucks back in line and gets a little bit more respectful. Nut Martinson clearly then, despite the damage we think we may have, still looking eager. And it's his last day as the champion of the ISR AIC, Zach. So he has every right to go out there, have a little bit of fun. There's no chance for him to retain that, sadly for him. But he's out there, he's having a lot of fun, and we know he's got the performance in him. He's just had the worst luck this season.
He has, and hopefully he can be able to come back for the next season and try to gain back, you know, all that speed and the performance that he had back in season 1 of the Scirocco's, because if you guys know, Force Fizzy, they're a team that, you know, seems to sometimes struggle between cars. You know, they were doing so well in the Scirocco's, but just like many other teams, they have struggled with these DTMs. Most people that have been in the back of the Scirocco's came up. You look at Northern Lights, you know, I believe I got that right anyway, because, you know, like we said at the pregame, they are, you know, the same thing. But you look at, you know, a lot of teams, they've actually come back in. As we take a look down the inside, the bit contact. That's not, you know, the way you want to do this. I know this is touring cars, but this isn't the British touring cars. This is DTM. There's still some respect given, but nonetheless, though, as we take a look now, this, I believe, could be Josh. I believe that is Josh Martin ahead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is Ross McFarlane we're looking at.
Okay, so that is Josh Martin in front of Ross McFarlane. So Josh Martin trying to make up the moves. As we talked about, him and Douglas Anderson need to make some moves here to try and get all the points they can get. But right now, Nickel Foggy is, you know, up there. He's going to be, you know, he's the best man to shoot for as far as the points goes. And right there, Colin Spencer is another one here. He's got to try to get as many positions as he can here. But definitely one to watch for right now, as I think, as long as nothing crazy happens, is Nickel Foggy. But Josh Martin, as we're taking a look at now, his season so far, Toby, I think has been probably one of the better ones out of everyone this season.
Yeah, he started off pretty slow, not getting the results, and then, oh, look at this. Who is this? This is Craig Evans going up the inside. No, it's not. It's Nickel Foggy going up the inside. Oh, contact between Gareth Lennon, but Nickel Foggy is up into P2, into championship winning position provisionally. Look at Callum Spencer trying to get in on the action as well. He's up, I believe that's into P4 now. Great stuff by Callum Spencer to keep himself in the mix for this championship battle. He's looking to the inside of Charles McBee. Is he going to be able to do anything about it into the hairpin? He'll want to. Late on the brakes for Callum Spencer up the inside. Has the inside. Oh, he's squeezed up on the grass and he gets tail happy. And has to subdue the position for now because he's under pressure from Gareth Lennon, looking to go all the way around the outside. This will be a brave move, Lennon, if he can pull it off. Yes, he can, all the way around the outside, but now he has to hold the inside. Cal Spencer, what a move by the Northern Irishman and Callum Spencer's former teammate. But Nickel Foggy is in provisional championship winning position.
And that was something, that is probably going to be the move of the year. Nickel Foggy, to potentially put him in a championship spotlight, that could be the move that makes or breaks his season for this championship, Toby. That was a fantastic move, and a fantastic move from the Northern Irishman, as you say, Gareth Lennon, putting a move on his former team boss, saying, hey, I still got it in me. You know, you didn't have any right to let me go through season 1, but showing right there. But right now, I think Colin Spencer wasn't really too pleased. He kind of came up on the back of the Northern Irishman, gave him a little tap and said, hey, I'm still going to come at you. I still got this championship to fight for. You know, I got Nickel Foggy to go after. So, you know, Spencer just needs to kind of, you know, hunker down, go at it one lap at a time here, but not wait too long, because if he's going to have any chance, he's going to have to get it now. Maybe have some luck on the side. Hopefully Nickel Foggy may have a mechanical issue later on, but as we see right now, I believe this is Colin McAllister trying to make a move. He's going to try to make it down the inside. Oh, contact. Oh, he's hit the EQU car. Oh, big crash right here. I don't know what happened there. I think there was just no brakes what happened, but that is Josh Martin, who we failed to see. For me at least, it was like we said, it's difficult to see these teams, but unfortunately, that was Josh Martin, Toby. That is not what he wanted.
Josh Martin, low at the back of the grid. Oh dear, the man who was favourite to win the championship finds himself plumb last. And his championship rivals are all battling for their championship positions. Nickel Foggy is, of course, up in P2. Carl Spencer up in P4, looking to make it. No, he's up in P5, sorry, looking to make it P4, and Rhinus Melgalis is back there too, but his chances need to include Nickel and Callum both going off the circuit in a similar fashion, in the nicest way possible in that ISR cockpit. So you can see that Candre Spencer just trying to stay with Lennon. He knows that he's in a championship battle, can't afford to take too many risks, but at the same time he's got Valerio Campagnari closing in on him, and he has Craig Evans closing in on him. So these guys need to be careful, but they've got nothing to lose. Of course, Craig Evans was ruled out of the championship fight at Autopolis after his DNF. He's just out here for a little bit of fun and actually to try help Northern Lights Racing secure the title today. So that's what his ambition is today. Ooh, look at the curb riding from Gareth Lennon. Almost really bottomed out the car there, and that's actually allowed Callum Spencer to check up. And that's allowing Valerio Campagnari to have a look. Is this going to be a move that could be interesting in the championship as well? Valerio Campagnari down the inside, has the inside. A bit of door bang to push him off the racing line. The side-by-side coming onto the stretch. And Valerio Campagnari is through, Zach.
Yeah, I think Spencer gave him the respect there because, of course, like you said, Spencer is in that title contention. He doesn't want to mess up his car any more than he needs to. I mean, he's got to make moves, but he doesn't want to do them a bit too rash. But, you know, funny stories. We take a look now going down the inside. Spencer is actually losing a bit more ground. So I think he's just playing a bit damage limitation, but I think he's doing it a bit too much here. So this is something he doesn't want. But we take a look now. Rhinus Melgalis is going to try to go for it. And big contact. Big contact. I believe that is, who was that hit him, Toby?
That was Ross McFarlane.
Ross McFarlane that hit him. More contact, and that's don't know if that was Douglas Anderson right here. Incident involving Colin McAllister and Ross McFarlane. So
and that's Martin.
Josh McFarlane.
McFarlane.
Josh Martin. Extreme apologies there, but so that obviously is of course what put Josh Martin out of the contention for this one. But now I was going to say this before all the shenanigans happened right there. A funny thing about Craig Evans. You know, in the first season, Toby, we had that Polo War points deal. Now, if that carried over, unfortunately, it didn't for this season. But if that did, if he got the post, we take a look now. This is what I believe what put Josh Martin out of contention. And I believe, yeah, Colin McAllister was just a bit rash. He didn't have the right of way, in my opinion, though. I think Josh Martin was just going into the turn and didn't realize that there was Colin McAllister right there and just banged doors. I believe that was Chester Jackson that actually was the first to collect him. But unfortunately, enough that has put Josh Martin pretty much, I believe, out of contention. Unless the safety car happens, I don't think he's going to have any chance of coming back for this one. But that was a big, and that's Danny Diaz. That is a massive hit to the front of that EQ. And look at, oh, wow, that was Kevin Jacobs right there. That's just a big chain reaction. There's Stephen Paul getting collected up into that as well.
Oh, and a third impact.
Wow, that was a lot of contact for one spin. But unfortunately enough, Josh Martin just doesn't have the luck that some of these other guys having. But anyway, as I was saying, going back, if somehow Craig Evans actually had the pole, Toby, he would have still been in contention because just that incident last time out at Autopolis put him 1 point out of being in the running of this championship.
That is correct, of course. He's 1 point even if he wins and everyone. There's actually, speaking of the devil, there's your top 4 coming into this round. So that is coming into Hockenheim is what you need to look out for. Just 2 points. Oh, look at this. Is this Charles McBee getting the run on Nickel Foggy? No, Nickel Foggy needs this position to win the championship, Zach, and Charles McBee looking like he's going to take it away from him. Side by side, they will go slightly off the track for Nickel Foggy. He has the inside line. He can hold it. If he can hold that inside line, Charles McBee looking very strong on the outside, though. And sideways action costs him the championship position. Great stuff by the old American to get feisty in there. Nickel Foggy caught napping, Zach.
Yeah, that was something that Nickel Foggy did not want to see. As we take a look now, Valerio Campagnari, we got another one here. I believe Colin McAllister, 5-second penalty for causing the collision, putting Josh Martin out of the championship contention. Like I said, there was absolutely no reason for Colin to try to make that move. He didn't have the space. You know, Josh Martin was going into the corner like everything was going peachy keen, running his race, and next thing you know, bang, Iron Brew car right into the right rear quarter panel of his DTM machine. So there you go. Justice has been served, but I think in Josh Martin's case, probably not enough justice.
Yeah, the only thing he can take from this at the moment is Nickel Foggy is now out. And I believe Callum Spencer is also out of championship contending positions as Callum's dropped back a little bit as a result of going a little bit too slowly, we think, and too cautiously. And Nickel just got outclassed. It's as simple as that. McBee outclassed him with that move. And speaking of moves, we can see a battle that's been going on a little bit all season. Iron Brew versus NORL, and Valeria looks to get one up on the Iron Brew cards for one last time. Up the inside goes NORL, looking for a better season next time out, but they want to do what they can with this beautiful DTM car this season, and just nowhere to go with it. And the thing is, they get so tight on that exit. The interesting thing, the racing line actually beckons to that outside apex. So if you're on the inside, you're not going to get the optimum drive, and that makes getting a move up the inside very easy as Greg Evans gets in on the action. But it makes it easy going up the inside, but getting the exit to secure that move is a different story altogether. As we take a look through the field now, we can just see where everybody is. There is Callum Spencer. Look how many positions he is. That's actually Douglas Anderson in front of him a few cars up. That ART car was Douglas Anderson, and there at the lonely end of the grid is Josh Martin, but he's not too far away from Nut Martinson, so he can try get a move on the reigning champion and see what the reigning champion's defense is like. Maybe get a little bit of on the go lessons for Martin on how do you win a championship at this point. No, I really need some help in this one. I need a little bit of luck, and we'll see if Nut can offer anything. But Ross McFarlane chasing down Rhinus Mangalis, who's all but out of the championship because, of course, his car's finishing in the top 10 in front of him, unless, of course, we've still got a good 8 or 9 laps left to go, so anything can still happen on that front. But as moves have calmed down just a little bit, we've already had a lot of controversy in Josh Martin being spun around. We've had Douglas Anderson gain position silently. There he is behind Ross McFarlane. And we've had Callum Spencer just drop positions hand over fist out of, being caught napping. And now Nickel Foggy's out of position too, Zach.
Yeah, and I think and now of course we've been going through the field, so it's kind of, speaking of which, this is actually the person I was actually going to talk. Gale is no, that's Toby Byrne, excuse me, the same car though, but I believe that Rhinus Mangalis, I think, is our highest points position. We'll have to go through the field and see, but I believe he could be the highest one to out of all of our championship contenders. But like we've said, a lot of stuff has to happen for him to win the championship if he is our highest person in the championship, though. Of course, being everyone out of position at the moment, though, it's very interesting, though, because the field is being shuffling, and that's why it's kind of confusing to see where everyone is, though, because, of course, you had Josh Martin get spun. We've had contact between Charles McBee and, of course, Nickel Foggy. So there's a lot of stuff right here as we take a look now at Valerian Campagnari is going to try to once again make that move on Gareth Lennon. And like you said, these two teams have been going at it all season. They've kind of been the Marussia and the Sauber of the lonely back, but they're kind of midfield right here. So pretty good performance for both of these teams. That unfortunate for Colin, with Josh Martin though. But Gareth Lennon, let's talk about him for a second, Toby. He was pretty strong going into season 1. He was decent, had some points finishes, actually won a race. But he struggled this season, Toby, with these DTMs, and now look where he's at. He's actually starting to pick up his pace, hopefully for a decent ride or a decent performance next season.
So we have Nemesis Online Racing looking to the inside, trying to do the move once again. Needs to be a lot later on the brakes and be able to squeeze Lennon off that outside apex. Lennon squeezes him very hard to the inside apex, and it's a cardboard copy of last time, and he stops the Italian attack right there and then. But true, but it could just be the position of literally it took a little time to adjust to the team, or it took a lot of time for him to... Oh, Craig Evans, very late move on Valeria Campagnari. Not happening for him.
Caught napping. Valeria Campagnari caught way napping as Craig Evans, of course, looking for that revenge, of course, being taken out, last race out. He's just out there just wanting to race at this point, saying, hey, look out for me next season. But, funny thing, as they're going through that the hairpin, it's funny enough, they better be careful how much inside, because both times, and I've actually seen multiple drivers do this, but both times, especially on Valerian Campagnari's case on Lennon, he's actually been going through the grass a little bit, so he's got to be careful how much he goes inside, because, of course, that will be considered corner cutting. And, of course, if you gain a position while corner cutting, you have to give that position back or risk a penalty. So they really have to be careful when they try to go for position at that hairpin, Toby.
That's very, very true. But, again, with Lennon squeezing him as much as he did, not really much else to go with there. But no harm, no foul. They're still going, and no one's being put around or anything like that. So... taking a look for the championship once again, we have Nickel Foggy in third place. Needs second or higher to have a chance. Rhinus Mangalis is next, but he needs Nickel Foggy, preferably, to get out of the top 10 for him to have a chance, and he needs to win. So, and especially if you look at the gap Zach Swader has right now, I don't see that happening somehow. And then you have Douglas Anderson, who has similar conditions, but a bit easier but he needs to gain some more positions, and Callum Spencer needs to get a move on as well. Of course, Josh Martin has actually, you can see there, has got past Martinson somewhere on this lap, so great effort from him. As look at bumper to bumper, these guys are coming through the hairpin. Is that going to invite Josh Martin for a move on Chester Jackson? He was a little bit slow through there, but it doesn't look like anything's going to come of it this time around. But yeah, we have a few things, you know, we're still 6 laps from the finish, but there is always this business part of the race where you've just got to be careful and not get taken out and stuff. Like Josh Martin would have been in the top 10, pretty much securing his win right now if things hadn't gone the way they did. But it's ISR AIC. I think the A in AIC stands for anything in terms of anything can happen, because we've seen so many crazy things to put leaders out of position before. Like we saw Danny Diaz last season in that horrific accident he had at the hairpin. That was his championship. Who would have thought that would be the moment that decided the championship effectively for Nutt, because Nutt was able to just keep on winning from there on out, and Danny Diaz never really got over that slump of bad luck, and he just didn't have the performances for the rest of the season. But for Valerio Campagnari, certain rumours at NORL are looking for a new lineup next season, and they're poaching. We won't say who, because we don't have the confirmation yet, but they are poaching another driver in this grid that they want. Oh, speaking of other drivers, that is Stephen Paul trying to do a little bit of a bump and run on Kevin Jacobs. Now pushed him off the racing line in order to get the switch back. It's a little bit dirty, but we see that in NASCAR and other forms of touring car racing all around the world every single time. So, great little touring car move from Stephen Paul there. And Kevin Jacobs being a majority open wheel racer, don't think he would have expected a bump and run coming his way, Zach.
I don't think he did. And of course, Kevin Jacob, you know, tried to do a little bit of bumping and running himself, and you see where that ended up at Karita, but that was more of a unsafe, you know, re-entry. But he's had a bit of a rough season himself, and of course, rumor has it that he could be out of that seat next season, and you know that's something he doesn't want at the moment as we're going side by side. Once again, he's got, you know, a bit of a weak spot, like you said. He's more open wheel, you know, and moves like that is kind of what keeps, you know, him off guard. He's not used to this banging door racing, like of course, like you said, with NASCAR, British touring car racing. You know, there's always going to be contact somewhere along the way, and so, you know, Kevin Jacobs really needs to try to up his game if he wants to either keep his seat here or find a seat in another team. But you know, actually, just going back to what you're calling for the teams, those we see, I believe that is Toby Byrne getting a bit sideways, you know, on the French straightaway coming off that sweeping corner. But we can confirm, however, that of course the Team EQU guys have confirmed for 2 more seasons, and which, speaking of which, here's one of them right now we were looking at. So it's very nice to see that they will, you know, come back. As we see Josh Martin actually, you know, go actually on the inside of that EQU machine here. So, you know, trying to rebound what he can. That is indeed a good move. But yeah, EQU confirmed for at least 2 more seasons. So very happy to have them back on board, and we hope to see a lot more of these guys here next season for the season 3.
Yes, so they are our first official confirmation. Actually, no, they're our second confirmation. We had ISR, obviously ISR confirmed, but they're doing a partnership with Team Black Diamond to become ISR Black Diamond next season, running more of a Black Diamond scheme than an ISR scheme, but those are our 2 teams that are signed up to commit for at least next season, in EQU's case, the season and the season beyond. So we saw Douglas Anderson just a little bit earlier getting overtaken by Ross McFarlane, putting him in another position under threat for the championship. We see Ryan Mangelish almost pushing that Northern Lights racing car. We shouldn't forget as well, let's quickly talk about the team's championship, Zach, because that's currently ongoing. We have Nickel Foggy up in 3rd, getting 15 points for Northern Lights Racing. Then the next one, who would the next one be in terms of the championship contenders? I think it might just be Ryan Ismail. No, out of the top 4, I would say. Oh no, Zach Swader's in the lead, so he's getting 25 points for Autobacks here today. Nickel Foggy's getting 15. We think Craig's in the top 10, so he'll be getting a little bit. Both pro races, I'm pretty sure, are out of the points at the moment, and both Lucky Strikes are out of the points as well. So things are looking good for Northern Lights Racing, Zach.
Yes, they are, because going into this, remember, Northern Lights and Race are actually tied at 94 points. And Lucky Strike, as you say, they're both possibly out of the points. We don't know exactly confirmation where Spen is, but he's dropped back considerably from where he started. So, you know, let's just assume that he is out of the points here. Okay, so they're leading Northern Lights, you know, 99 points to 94 points. No, that really is an interesting point, because we've had, like, you know, there's been so much shuffling going on in this race. You know, so much, you know, contact, so many position changes. And of course, you've seen, you know, like we said, Josh Martin getting taken out. But, you know, it just seems one of those things where it's just, you know, who knows where everyone can end up at this point.
It is very interesting, but my 2 pence is going to Northern Lights, given their positions at the moment. Zach Swader giving in 25 points for the Autobacks team, who are in the top 4, but unfortunately, Jonathan Carrera at the back of the grid, not really contributing to that one. Will Jonathan Carrera still be in Autobacks next season, or will he be pushed? Who knows? There's a lot of speculation to come, I'm sure, after this race, but I'm sure a few drivers will be interested in Rookie of the Season. A lot of drivers respect that, and a lot of drivers know that it is a gateway, because Josh Wood was Rookie of the Season for GTFG, wasn't he? And that got him a seat with the championship winning team, although he's crumbled a little bit, it would seem, under the pressure in the last few rounds. He took his first win ever in the AIC in race 2, Curitiba, but he's kind of struggled since then, and I don't know what the cause of that is for poor young Josh, but maybe he'll bounce back next season. But we do go to open wheelers next season, and it's a completely different formula, excuse the pun, of cars in terms of GP2 cars for next season. So we'll have to see who can adjust then. And then people like Kevin Jacobs, who have these weaknesses in not really knowing the touring car style, and the NORL car being an open wheel team, of course, struggling to adapt and stuff like that. We'll have to see if they're able to bounce and take advantage of these beautiful Dallara GP206 cars coming in for next season. But we have 2 laps to go, still going, and we have 2 laps left to go here in the ISR AIC.
It's the last race, so
we're tired.
We're tired. You know, it's been a great season, but it's been a long one. You know, but we're pretty much pulling our hair back at this one. So you might see a few editing errors here and there, but it's all fun and games here. We're happy to bring this to you guys here at Hockenheim. We're at lap 15 of 17. We're taking a look now at Valerian Campagnari and Gareth Lennon, who've been battling out all race. Campagnari hasn't been able to make that move. He's had a few attempts at the hairpin, but he's either went too far, of course, probably none of his fault, with Gareth Lennon pushing him a bit to the inside, allowing him to cut that corner here. But it's just very difficult for Larry to try to get past the Northern Irishman. Of course, he's, you know, not sure if we're going to be seeing him still at Iron Brew. Probably, but nothing has been talked about for the Iron Brew boys at the moment. But 9 times out of 10, I think the way that the relationship that Gareth and Colin have, I think we'll be seeing these two both in the open wheelers next season. So it will be very good as we see. I think Campagnari is going to try to get the move right here once again. I believe this is the hairpin. Can he get it done? I don't know if he can. He's right now side by side. He's got a better chance than he has had the past few performances. But right there, it just, Gareth Lennon just, you know, right there at the last second just keeps cutting him off into the inside. And I think Campagnari is about to be pretty much up to here with, you know, Lennon's driving right there. I mean, I don't think it's anything bad on Lennon's part, but you got to admit, though, if you're a Campagnari, you will be fuming underneath that helmet, because that's what the past 3 or 4 times we've seen that from him, Toby, and it's just not working for some strange reason.
Yeah, and we know Gareth Lennon is very good in his defence and very good in his late moves as well. And it's the final race of the season. Both of those guys not in chance for a championship. Both their teams pretty much battling for the back of the grid in the championship. But, you know, they're just letting their hair down, I think, and having a little bit of fun. The 2 oldies of the grid, both more veterans than some of the other drivers we have here, just having a little bit of fun, letting their hair down, and getting ready for that. But I think we might be about to come onto the final lap of the race, and it is crunch time, not only for the championship contenders, but for Zach Swader. Final lap, here we go then. Can he maintain that lead? I'm sure he can. He's won another race, I believe, this season at Mendig. This would be his 2nd race. Interesting that both his race wins would come from Germany, but there you have it. And I'm sure Zach will be sad to see Mendig go for next season, as the ISR is elected to drop it, as it doesn't favour the cars. But with a win like he had at Mendig, I'm sure he'll be sad to see it go, and I'm sure he'd love a return to Hockenheim. He's really suited to these German tracks. Had a little bit of a struggle, had a big crash in the hairpin at Nürburgring, so maybe not the Nürburgring. He won't be too sad to see that one go. But Hockenheim and Mendig have been very kind to him. But the final lap we will come, and it looks like Evan Imre trying to have a little go at Douglas Anderson, but nothing to come of it as of yet, sir.
Nothing to come as, of course, but like you said here, we got to really pay close attention, though. With it being the final lap, though, you know, like we've been talking about all race, the shuffling that's been going on. It's very hard to tell who will be the highest points position and to where they need to finish and where everyone else is finished. Right now, like we said, Nickel Foggy is our highest person, but I'm not sure exactly where that's going to put everyone else into play here.
Nickel Foggy is only 3rd. Just to quickly point out, he has to be 2nd or higher.
Yeah, so definitely that could put a throw into the monkey, well, put a monkey wrench into the issue here. Of course, he has to be second, but of course, Charles McBee is hiding that spot. So it's going to be interesting to see where this points, play out. I cannot wait to see, where everything goes out from here. But we're taking a look now. Toby Byrne looking to make a move. I don't think he's going to have enough time here. But, of course, Zach Swader, he's going to win at Hockenheim. So another day for him, but a good drive nonetheless.
So we're waiting on that confirmation. Great stuff by Zach, but we're waiting on confirmation. Who is your ISR AIC Season 2 Championship? The winner. The guys are working behind the scenes to give us that information, and I'm sure we'll find out very shortly indeed. So just if you enjoy a few tense moments after the race as the guys work all the points out in the background. Could it be that man, Callum Spencer? Could it be one of the others? Who knows? The cameras are picking up Callum Spencer, thinking it might be him. Is it going to be him? No, it's not. It's Josh Martin. Wins by a point despite finishing dead last. Josh Martin is your ISR AIC Season 2 World Champion. Great effort by Josh Martin. He finishes not last in the end. I believe he gained 2 positions, but after that spin, I'm sure it would have all been over in his mind, but it's not. Josh Martin takes that championship away, and I believe we're going to get the team, so I'll hand that one to you, Zach.
So here it is. Northern Lights Racing will take the Constructor Championship, 18 points ahead of Lucky Strike JSR. So there you have it. Josh Martin wins the Drivers' Championship and Northern Lights wins the Constructors. That has to be the most luckiest drive by Josh Martin, but you can tell the way he was attacking the tailing guys, Toby, he had red in his eyes. He wanted this so badly, and he's like, I will not give up whatever it takes. And that, my friends, is the true driver's mentality here. So we take a look now at the results for Hockenheim. Zach Swader, of course, wins. Not to take away from the spotlight from him, but of course, Josh Martin winning the championship might take a little bit, but we're not going to take that much away from it. But Charles McBee, a very fantastic, good drive. He keeps second, and Nickel Foggy, heartbreaking defeat for him. I think, he's probably going to be a bit upset that he let that one go to Charles McBee because he could have let that one, it's going to be tough to let that one go for him, but we're going through the field right now. Josh Martin
did lose them positions then.
He did actually lose that position, so I don't think this could be an editing glitch, even though it looked like he was ahead of everyone else. So that's a bit
him on the circuit, and I believe we just saw him there for a second. Zach, he was behind both the EQU and the Force Physico, so he did lose their positions.
That is interesting. So nonetheless, though, he's won this championship, but that is a very, very interesting, deal. But right here, we take a look at the drivers' points, Toby. I'll hand it off to you.
So Josh Martin wins the championship by a single point. A look at third place. Ladies and gentlemen, Callum Spencer and Douglas Anderson finished tied on points for third, but the graphic says Callum Spencer gave third. That is wrong. It's Douglas Anderson gets third based on best result. His win in Austria gives him that. Callum Spencer, surprisingly enough, we had said did not win a single race this season, but took it to the end. Great consistency by Spencer, but Douglas Anderson will, on a technicality, get third based on best result. Zach climbs up to P5 after his win here today, and Charles McBee climbs up to 6th, considering that he was about 20th, about 4 races in. Great stuff by him. Gareth Lennon climbs as well. And there, for the final time this season, Zach, is your team's champions. Northern Lights Racing win a championship, despite, what a fairy tale for them. Finished dead last in Season 1 and come back to win. And that is inspiration for NORL, who finished 11th out the top 10, and EQU, who lost a position at the end to Iron Brew. That's inspiration for all them guys that didn't have a chance to win today. You can do it, because Northern Lights came dead last, and they've come to win the team's championship for Season 2, and it's a fairy tale stuff for both Josh Martin and Northern Lights.
I'm still speechless at the fact that Josh Martin actually held on to win that. That is a fantastic recovery. Like I said, he had red in his eyes. He was not going to give up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you go out and win races. That's how you do this. Every time you go out, you just can't give up no matter what the circumstances. And I think Josh Martin is going to be an inspiration to, all the drivers here, but to young drivers as well. This is just the first step. Never give up. And he's shown that very well today. Congratulations to Josh Martin.
Congratulations, Josh. The official Thrustmaster pilot is now your ISR AIC Season 2 World Champion. Great effort by him and a great inspiration to all the small teams starting out by Northern Lights Racing as well. If you finish first or last, if you finish dead last in your first season of trying, don't give up, because Northern Lights have shown you today that you can come back and bounce and win. From a team that was almost embarrassing and was a guaranteed backmarker, have now come to be regular winners and title winners. That's really impressive by those guys. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you ever so much for joining in for another season of the ISR AIC. We're going to have a little thank you graphic and the congratulations graphic coming up to everyone that was involved, but personally thank you to Craig Evans, who helped commentate the season. Thank you to Zach Swader, who's been alongside me today. Thank you to United Racing Design for supplying these amazing cars, and we get ready to do it all again. We're taking about a month break to get everything prepared, but keep your eyes glued to our social channels, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of speculation, a lot of driver transfers, and a lot of news coming out of the ISR headquarters. But for Season 2, that is it. That is all she wrote, Zach. And like you said, a fairy tale ending. And it all came down to Nickel Foggy not being able to get past Charles McBee, which was a lifeline for Josh and got him that 1 point buffer that he needed so desperately. And it all ends like that. Just like that, it's all over. And it felt like it was only just beginning.
Yeah, and I think, Nickel Foggy is going to be losing a lot of sleep, I think, over that, because he was in the spot, and then out of nowhere Charles McBee made that position. Being the veteran driver that Charles McBee is, he made that move perfectly. And I think Nickel Foggy is going to be wondering what he could have done to protect that spot. Losing this championship by 1 point is going to be heartbreaking, but the only thing he can do is to just pick yourself back up, go into the next season, and just try harder. That's all you can do. But nonetheless, very, very heartbreaking defeat for Nickel Foggy there. I feel for him so much, but I also feel for, like you said, our champion, our Thrustmaster sponsored championship, Josh Martin, came back, won the championship. My hat's off to Josh and that entire team, and of course all of our people here. Toby, it's been fantastic. Of course, like you said, working with you through commentaries, it's been fun, and I cannot wait for Season 3 in the GP2 cars. I cannot wait to see how fast we will be going with the Formula cars. It's been one heck of a ride, Toby, and I can't wait to keep it going.
Nut Martinson was your Season 1 Drivers' Championship. That ends today, his last day of champion. He gives that trophy up to Josh Martin. Rothman's SLR, now known as Lucky Strike JSR, hand over that trophy to Northern Lights Racing. Who will be your champions in Season 3? Make sure you come back in about a month's time, where we do it all again and find out. But until then, goodbye and enjoy the off-season.